Hello there, and welcome back. This is the story of the Song of the Resilient Dolphins and the Waves of Possibility. It's a story of self-control, purpose, and resilience, written by Stephanie Fairchild-Pfister. This story is part of a special historical fiction series called What We Wish to Be True. Each book in the series blends a little fiction with real history and science to help students understand important character traits like kindness, purpose, and resilience through stories that are rooted in the journeys of our human family. This particular story focuses on characters connected to China and Japan, but every book in the series highlights one of the world's 18 major ancestral lines so that all students can feel seen, valued, and connected to our shared human story. Though we come from many places, we're all part of the same human family, migrating, learning, and growing across generations. By understanding the beauty of our differences and the strengths of our shared values, we can build a better, kinder future together. There are 4 levels of this one story, and this is level 3. Are you ready to hear the song of the resilient dolphins and the waves of possibility? Let's go. Miss Huff stood at the front of her classroom, smiling at her students. Behind her, a whiteboard displayed a picture of dolphins leaping through waves. Today, we're going to explore a story that takes us back in time, a story about interesting ocean and river waves, dolphins, and 2 young travelers who discovered something incredible. She held up a book titled The Song of the Resilient Dolphins and the Waves of Possibility and began reading aloud. The Meeting of the Tides, 1000 AD, on the Qiantang River, China. Ihcia adjusted the bamboo pack on her shoulders, shading her eyes from the shimmering sunlight dancing on the Qiantang River. She and Niluy had traveled from their homelands, chosen as human family ambassadors to learn from different cultures and bring wisdom back to their people. Today, Ihcia and Niluy stood among the Okinawan and Chinese pearl divers, fishermen, and people who lived along the river, waiting for something spectacular: the arrival of the mighty Qiantang tidal bore, a special way the tide from the ocean goes in and out because of the pull of gravity from the moon and the sun. They had heard stories about this beautiful show of nature, and they were excited to see it with their own eyes. Suddenly, the water surged forward, 2 massive waves colliding in a breathtaking crisscrossing pattern due to the geometry of the river shoreline, forming what looked like an enormous ocean waffle. Niluy and Ihcia were not from the villages around the Qiantang River, and they were a little startled by the rare sight of the tidal bore. No worries. This is the dance of the tides. A wise elder, teacher Chine Wu, said to them, 2 waves traveling their own paths meet and create something greater than either one alone. Ihcia tilted her head. It reminds me of how dolphins leap through waves, always adjusting, always moving forward. Niluy's eyes lit up. And how we travel, learning from different cultures, blending ideas to create something new. Teacher Wu smiled. Perhaps this is how the world works at every level. Even the tiniest particles that carry sound and light may travel in ways we do not yet understand. Maybe one day we will learn how everything connects. Before Teacher Wu could continue, a woman nearby scoffed. "Ridiculous," she muttered. "These are just waves and dolphins. They have nothing to do with anything else." She turned and walked away, shaking her head. Ihcia frowned. Niluy crossed her arms. Why would she say that? Teacher Wu smiled. There will always be naysayers. Perhaps they simply cannot see what we see. But instead of admitting it, they try to make us feel small. "So we shouldn't argue with them?" Niluy asked. "No need," said Teacher Wu. "Your energy is better spent continuing on your journey. Some people will see the possibilities, some will not. What matters most is that you do not lose sight of your own." That evening, Ihcia pondered Teacher Wu's words as she traced a dolphin and a wave into the sand. "Maybe we can learn from the dolphins too," she said. Niluy nodded. The travelers sat in silence, listening to the waves, knowing that, like the dolphins, they would keep going, stronger together. Ihcia and Niluy turned back to the river, watching how the water all flowed together. They decided that they wouldn't let one person's doubt or anyone's doubt stop them from working together to discover and create new things. As they continued their journey along the coast, they saw a pod of dolphins playfully leaping through the waves. "Look at how the dolphins use the waves," Niluy observed. "They don't fight them, they flow with them." A fisherman standing nearby nodded. "Dolphins never travel alone. They protect one another, just as we must protect our family and friends." One of the dolphins nudged its baby to the surface. "Look," Ihcia pointed. "The mother and the others are helping her baby stay afloat." "They help each other. That's why they're so resilient," Niluy added. "They use teamwork, adaptability, self-control, and purpose for finding food and staying safe to overcome challenges and stay resilient." Ihcia agreed. Dolphins show self-control when they wait, observe, and act wisely. And listen, they even communicate through songs of clicks and whistles, working together with the waves and currents to find food and safety. They have purpose when they work as a team, and together they are resilient no matter the challenge. Ihcia glanced at Niluy as they packed their satchels and prepared to continue their journey. "I wonder who we'll meet next," she said quietly. "I'm excited, but a little nervous too. We're in new lands, and I hope people understand. We're not here for power. We're here to learn and share." Niluy nodded. "Most people just want peace, good food, warm clothes, and a safe place to live. I hope we can show that and find a better way to care for one another." They smiled, feeling the rhythm of the waves behind them and the purpose of their journey ahead. Ihcia and Niluy continued on their way, pondering all that they had learned, with fond memories of the wise elder, Miss Wu, lingering in their minds. Hundreds of years later, the many times great-granddaughter of teacher Chine Wu, named Chine Sheng Wu, would one day become a brilliant Chinese-American physicist. Her research, along with the work of Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, John Bell, and others, would lay the foundation for quantum physics, the study of how the tiniest particles of our world move and interact. Just like the waves in the Qiantang River, scientists discovered that tiny particles sometimes behave like waves, shifting and changing based on observation, just as many brilliant ancestors from different cultures had hypothesized. What does this have to do with dolphins and waves? Niluy and Ihcia watched the dolphins leaping through wave patterns, using them wisely, thinking about them, learning from them, rather than fighting against them. 1,000 years later, scientists were discovering that particles, the tiny building blocks of our world, also behave like waves, full of possibilities. Just as dolphins use echolocation and teamwork, humans are learning how sight, smell, sound, our own senses, consciousness, our thoughts, focus, and collaboration change the world in waves and particles and ways that we are still discovering. Miss Huff closed the book and looked at her students. This story teaches us how everything is connected through waves and particles. When we realize this, we can keep going together and keep making things better for ourselves and everyone else at the same time. Scientists, just like the travelers, keep asking big questions, and that leads to more and more innovations to make things better. We are great thinkers too, one of the students chimed in. Miss Huff glanced toward the classroom door and noticed that her invited guest had arrived. Exactly. And speaking of great thinkers, we have a very special guest today. Federico Faggin entered the classroom, smiling warmly. "It's a pleasure to be here with you today," he said. "I have spent my life working on something that helps connect the world, computers. And just like the story you read, it all comes back to waves, patterns, and possibilities." The students leaned in, eager to listen. The same quantum science that helps dolphins navigate the ocean also helped me develop the microprocessor, the tiny chip inside of every computer, phone, and AI system today. It's like the brains of the computer. Dr. Faggin spoke as he wrote on the whiteboard 2 names, Thomas Young and Albert Einstein. About 100 years ago, humans would continue asking new questions about waves and possibilities with new tools called microscopes. These questions would lead to a new science about the tiniest particles of the things around us, and that would change the world forever. Remember this easy fact. The words quantum physics have to do with the science of teeny tiny particles and waves. One of these thinkers was Albert Einstein. He and his fellow scientists wondered, does light travel as a wave, like ripples in water, or as tiny particles, like grains of sand? To find out, they looked closely at the double slit experiment that was first completed by a scientist named Thomas Young. What they discovered was mind-blowing. Just like the tidal bore, when the tiniest particles of light are examined closely as they come from 2 different places, they sometimes behaved like particles and then like waves, shifting and changing based on when and how you looked at them. Fascinating, huh? When the scientists looked into the box where they did the double slit experiment, they said, when I send these tiny particles through 2 narrow openings, they act like waves, rippling and spreading out. But the moment I look closely to see where they go, they suddenly behave like little particles instead. Isn't that a mystery? Thomas Young's double slit experiment is still a mystery today. It's like the particles know they're being watched and change their behavior. Imagine if your backpack turned into a turtle the second someone peeked at it. That's how weird and wonderful quantum physics can be. Even though we don't understand it completely, it is integral. That means really important and needed in our discoveries and inventions we've made with computers, cell phones, X-rays, MRIs, medicine, space rockets, automobiles, airplanes, and so much more. The students looked surprised as Dr. Faggin continued. Maybe you will be the one to fully understand and explain this experiment to the rest of us one day. There are so many learning videos to learn more. Just search for the double slit experiment. You might even find that you want to use it for a science project at school. Take a look at this incredible photograph. It's often called the most intelligent picture ever taken, and for good reason. This photo shows many of the most brilliant scientists in the world all gathered together in one place at a special science conference held in 1927 in Belgium, at a park called Leopold Park. You might recognize some of the names, like Albert Einstein and Marie Curie, but there are many others here too who helped change how we understand the universe. They were part of something called the Fifth Solvay Conference, where they shared ideas about energy, particles, light, and waves, some of the same things we've been learning about in our story. Just imagine all that brain power in one room. And what's even more exciting is this: the next generation of scientists, thinkers, and explorers might include someone just like you. Some people may say that all these things aren't important to think about, but like the woman in the story, they're just not able to see how everything is connected through waves and particles, and that means we have so many possibilities to make life better here on Earth and beyond. They may even say quantum physics is way too tricky or full of complicated math for most people to understand, but that's just not true. You already understand more than you think. Have you ever tossed a rock into a pond and watched the ripples spread out? That's a wave. Have you ever heard a dolphin click or whistle in a video? That's sound, a sound wave, traveling in waves through the water. Even music travels to your ears in waves. But you can hear and sometimes feel those waves. You don't have to grow up to be a quantum physicist unless you want to, but it's still awesome to know that the things you use every day, like phones, computers, games, and even lights, work because of teeny tiny particles and invisible waves. Understanding just a little bit about this amazing science helps you appreciate the world in a whole new way. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to make the next big discovery. Miss Huff chimed in. Did you know Einstein used music to help him solve math and science problems? She asked. Whenever he struggled, he played his violin, letting his thoughts move with the melody like waves. A student raised his hand. It's like how dolphins stay in harmony with the ocean to keep going. Dr. Faggin smiled. Yes, I am not a musician myself, but I often listen to one of my favorite musicians, Andrea Bocelli, if I need to refocus on my work. He uses his amazing voice as his musical instrument. Andrea Bocelli is blind with his eyes, but his hearing is excellent, and you can tell because he can match his voice to the waves of sound, the notes. He hears perfectly. I hope you can hear him sing one day. He uses a soundboard to make sure that every note he sings is tuned just right on his recordings to convey the right emotions and traits in his music. We, too, are like instruments. We must tune ourselves to our purpose. Miss Huff then lifted a large soundboard to the chalkboard tray. Just like a musician tunes their instrument, we live our best lives when we tune ourselves to all our best possible character traits. She moved the sliders up and down. Are you in harmony with your purpose? Are you adjusting and cooperating with the waves of life, or are you fighting them? Are you leaping forward, or are you getting stuck? This is a fun way for you to look at and think about making good choices, Miss Huff smiled. The students nodded, understanding the lesson. Federico Faggin smiled too. Miss Huff told me about how well you're doing with your character traits that you're learning. I hope you keep going and keep learning. The world is full of waves, of sound, of light, of energy, of possibility. Whether you are solving a problem, creating music, or overcoming obstacles, the answer is the same. Stay in tune, stay resilient, and keep going. And as they packed up their books, their minds buzzed with excitement because just like the travelers, Ihcia and Niluy, and just like the Dolphins, just like Einstein and Dr. Faggin, they were ready to keep making choices of self-control and purpose at the same time for their plans to help them stay resilient so they can keep making amazing waves of their own. The next day, Miss Huff continued the lesson. You can think of it like this. When I ride the waves of challenge, I use self-control and purpose to grow stronger and more resilient, like dolphins. This is the writing activity, the dolphin within me. This reflective writing activity helps you apply the character equation, self-control plus purpose equals resilience, to your own lives. Using a dolphin-shaped template, you will write about a time that you have already used or you plan to use self-control and purpose at the same time to overcome a challenge. This helps you see yourselves as resilient learners, thinkers, and friends, just like the dolphins in the story. These are your student-friendly instructions. Dolphins are amazing swimmers who use the power of the waves to move forward, but they also need self-control to stay calm and purpose to stay focused on their goals and help one another, find food, and stay safe. That's how they stay strong and resilient. Have you ever used self-control? Maybe when you were upset, but you stayed calm, or when you kept trying after something felt hard. Have you ever had a purpose, like helping a friend, practicing a skill, or reaching a goal? When you put self-control and purpose together, you grow resilience, just like a dolphin leaping forward through the waves. Write your story inside the dolphin outline. You can write about a time you used self-control and purpose in your life, or a challenge you're facing now and how you plan to show resilience. A dream could even be what you write about and how self-control and purpose will help you reach it with amazing resilience. Here are your directions to make your own dolphin of resilience. Number 1, place a blank piece of paper on top of this dolphin template. You should be able to see the outline and the lines through your paper. Use a pencil to carefully trace the dolphin shape, including the bold outline, fins, and tail. Trace the writing lines inside the dolphin so you have space to write your own ideas. Think about a time when you showed self-control and kept your purpose in mind, even when it was hard. That's resilience. You might write about a time when you kept going on a hard day. Or maybe you practiced something until you got better. Or you could share a plan for how you'll use self-control and purpose in the future. Write your memory story or plan on the lines inside your dolphin. You can give your dolphin a name if you'd like. When you're finished writing, cut out your dolphin carefully along the traced lines. Display your dolphin with your classroom or your family, or in a hallway or window to inspire others. You are a resilient learner, just like the dolphins in the story. Then Miss Huff taught the students the song of the resilient dolphin. It's to the tune of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Are you ready to sing along with me? Swim, swim, swim with strength through the ocean wide. Use your purpose, keep control. Waves can be your guide. Leap, leap, leap with hope through the shifting sea. Just like dolphins in their pods, strong and wild and free. Think, think, think like blue waves in light and sound. Tiny things we cannot see connect us all around. Shine, shine, shine your mind even when it's tough. Self-control and purpose strong make you brave and tough. Self-control and purpose clear gives you strength to try. Resilience helps you leap ahead like dolphins jumping high. Good job, everyone. Remember, self-control plus purpose together make for resilience. Here is a glossary of thinkers and innovators if you want to learn more. These next pages have to do with things interesting for your parents and your teachers. And don't forget, if you need a refresher on how to make your best choices in your own life, you can go back and watch the Healthy, Happy, Free videos. Until next time, keep making choices that include all three to be healthy, happy, and free.